Every day, you wake up and begin to think the same thoughts, perform the same actions, and feel the same emotions as you did the day before. And as long as you keep living by the same familiar patterns, your brain remains wired to the past, and your life becomes a mere reflection of everything you've already known. But here's the truth. Your personality creates your personal reality. If you want to change your life, if you want to step into a new future, you must become a new version of yourself. That means you must begin to think differently, act differently, and feel differently. You must consciously design a new personality aligned with the future you desire. The science of neuroplasticity shows that you can literally rewire your brain to create new thoughts. Epigenetics tells us that you're not doomed by your genes. You can turn them on or off with your internal states of mind and emotion. And when you break the habit of being yourself, when you leave behind the familiar emotions that keep you tethered to the past, you can begin to create a new reality. The question is simple. Who do you want to become? By combining focused intention with elevated emotions, gratitude, love, inspiration, you begin to draw new experiences to you from the quantum field. You're no longer waiting for your life to change to feel better. You're feeling better to change your life. In this process, you're not just imagining a new future. You're becoming it.
Your personality is the foundation of your personal reality. Everything you experience in your life, from your relationships to your health to your career, is a direct reflection of your personality. The way you think, how you act, and how you feel forms your personality, and over time, this creates the reality you live in every single day. Most people wake up every morning and immediately begin to think the same habitual thoughts, perform the same routines, and feel the same emotions. This process reinforces their current personality, locking them into the same personal reality day after day. They continue to experience the same situations, meet the same kinds of people, and react in the same ways because their internal state remains unchanged. In other words, they're living in a predictable life, governed by unconscious habits and emotional patterns rooted in the past. When people talk about wanting to change their lives, they often focus on external circumstances. They want new jobs, better relationships, more abundance, or improved health. But they rarely look within and ask what needs to change internally. The truth is that their current personal reality is simply a mirror of their current personality. If they want to create a new life, they must first become aware of the thoughts and emotions that have defined them up to this point. They must step out of the identity they've been repeating for years. This process requires self-observation and honesty. It's about recognizing the thoughts that are often negative, limited, or conditioned by past experiences. These thoughts create feelings such as fear, worry, resentment, or self-doubt, which then drive behaviors that reinforce those same feelings. It becomes a cycle that keeps a person stuck in the same emotional and mental state. To change this, one must consciously choose new thoughts that align with the desired future and practice new emotional states such as gratitude, joy, and love, even before the external evidence appears. As these new thoughts and feelings become more familiar, they start to reshape the brain's wiring and the body's chemistry, ultimately changing one's energy. By deliberately changing their internal state, people begin to shift their personal reality because their brain and body start to reflect a new personality. The more consistent and intentional they are in this process, the more they begin to witness changes in their external world, proving that the inner world creates the outer experience.
To change your life, you must change your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Most people unknowingly live in a cycle where their habitual thoughts trigger familiar emotions, and those emotions drive repetitive behaviors that reinforce the same thoughts. This cycle creates a predictable future, where nothing truly changes because the person keeps thinking and feeling the same way every single day. Thoughts are the language of the brain, and emotions are the language of the body. When you think the same thoughts repeatedly, you continuously produce the same emotional states. Over time, this forms a deeply ingrained identity that becomes automatic and unconscious. People often wake up in the morning and immediately start to think about their problems, which are usually connected to past experiences. The moment they begin to think about these problems, they produce the same emotions they felt in those situations, such as stress, anxiety, or sadness. Those emotions then influence their actions and choices throughout the day, causing them to behave in ways that create the same outcomes. This is why change requires more than just wishing or hoping for something different. It involves breaking the cycle by becoming aware of your current thoughts and feelings and making a conscious decision to think differently. When you begin to think greater than your current circumstances, you start to signal new genes in new ways, creating new possibilities for your future. Changing your thoughts involves focusing on the kind of future you want to create rather than dwelling on past experiences. It requires envisioning outcomes that inspire you and bring a sense of hope and possibility. Emotions play a key role in this transformation. You must begin to cultivate elevated emotions such as gratitude, joy, inspiration, and love, even if your external world hasn't changed yet. These elevated emotions carry a higher energy that can begin to shift your internal state and open you up to new experiences. Behavior is the final step in this process. By thinking new thoughts and feeling new emotions, you will naturally begin to make new choices and take new actions that align with your desired future. This is how change becomes sustainable, as you no longer rely on external situations to dictate how you think or feel. Instead, you become the creator of your own life by intentionally directing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors toward the future you wish to experience.
Neuroplasticity is the scientific understanding that the brain is capable of changing its structure and function throughout life. This means that you are not hardwired to think, feel, or act in certain ways forever. Your brain can be rewired to create a new self, and this is one of the most empowering discoveries of modern neuroscience. Every time you think a thought, you are creating a chemical reaction in the brain. If you keep thinking the same thoughts repeatedly, you reinforce specific neural circuits, making them stronger and more automatic. These circuits form familiar patterns that define your personality, habits, and emotional reactions. However, when you begin to think in new ways and consistently direct your focus toward different thoughts, you start to fire new neural pathways. As these pathways are activated repeatedly, they become stronger, and your brain begins to reorganize itself according to these new patterns. This process allows you to shift from being a victim of your old thinking to becoming a conscious creator of your new mind. It starts with becoming aware of the thoughts that no longer serve you. By recognizing limiting beliefs, negative self-talk, and repetitive worries, you can begin to interrupt those patterns. The moment you stop giving attention to the thoughts that are connected to your past, those neural circuits begin to weaken. At the same time, when you focus on thoughts aligned with your desired future, thoughts of empowerment, possibility, and abundance, you start to create new neural connections. This is not just a mental exercise, it is a biological change within your brain. Through repetition and emotional intensity, these new neural pathways become more established. The brain does not know the difference between what is happening in your external world and what you vividly imagine with emotional clarity. This means that by rehearsing new thoughts and feelings, you can begin to embody a new personality even before your external circumstances change. As your brain becomes wired to think and act in new ways, your perception of the world shifts, leading to new behaviors, choices, and experiences. Neuroplasticity proves that you are not stuck with your current mindset or emotional habits. With intention and practice, you can break old patterns and literally rewire your brain to support the person you want to become, creating a foundation for lasting transformation and a new personal reality.
The combination of elevated emotions and clear intention is the formula for manifestation. Intention is the mental component of creation, where you focus your mind with clarity on what you desire. It involves being specific about what you want to experience in your life, whether it is health, abundance, love, or success. A clear intention creates order in the brain, sending a coherent signal into the quantum field. However, intention alone is not enough to create meaningful change. The emotional component, which is energy in motion, is equally important because it carries a vibrational frequency that influences your body and your external environment. Elevated emotions such as gratitude, joy, love, and inspiration are powerful because they align your body and mind with your future desires. When you combine a focused intention with a heightened emotional state, you begin to create coherence between your heart and brain. This coherence generates a strong electromagnetic field that not only affects your internal state, but also interacts with the quantum field around you. In this state, you are no longer thinking from your familiar past, you are thinking from your desired future. By holding on to both the clear mental picture of what you want and the elevated emotion that matches it, you begin to draw that experience to you. Your body begins to believe that the future experience is happening in the present moment, which creates a state of alignment between your thoughts and feelings. This is how you begin to signal new genes, change your brain chemistry, and even alter your personal energy. The more you practice this process, the more you begin to recondition your mind and body to a new state of being. You are no longer dependent on external circumstances to feel elevated emotions because you are generating them from within. This internal shift is what leads to external shifts in your personal reality. Many people attempt to manifest change from a place of lack, focusing on what is missing and feeling frustrated or impatient. However, this only reinforces the current reality. The key is to maintain elevated emotions regardless of external conditions and to combine them consistently with a clear intention. Over time, this creates a magnetic effect, drawing new opportunities, experiences, and relationships that match your inner state, proving that the union of elevated emotion and clear intention is the true formula for creating lasting change.
Living in the present moment is the key to creating a new future. Most people spend the majority of their lives trapped in either the memories of the past or the worries of the future. They replay old experiences, reliving the emotions and thoughts connected to them, which keeps their brain and body anchored in the past. At the same time, they often project those same emotions into the future, expecting it to be a continuation of what they have already experienced. This creates a predictable reality where nothing new can emerge, because they are not truly present. The body becomes conditioned to the past, and the mind remains stuck in repetitive cycles of thought. The present moment is the only place where true change can happen, because it is the space where all possibilities exist. In the present, the mind becomes still, and the body relaxes, allowing you to break free from the patterns that have been shaping your life unconsciously. When you fully enter the present moment, you disconnect from your familiar identity and step into the unknown. The unknown may feel uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar, but it is where all true potential exists. In this space, you are no longer focused on your environment, your body, or time. You let go of external distractions and shift your awareness inward. As you practice being fully present, you begin to notice subtle thoughts, emotions, and sensations that normally go unnoticed in the busy flow of daily life. This heightened awareness allows you to observe your unconscious patterns without judgment, and begin to make conscious choices that align with your desired future. The more you practice living in the present moment, the more you train your brain and body to remain in this powerful state of awareness. In this space, you become more connected to your heart and intuition, allowing your actions to be guided by inner wisdom rather than by old habits. The present moment also allows you to tap into the quantum field, where infinite possibilities exist beyond your current circumstances. By maintaining your attention in the now and combining it with elevated emotions and clear intentions, you create a powerful energetic state that begins to shape your external reality. As you repeatedly return to the present moment throughout your day, you reinforce this state of consciousness and begin to experience greater synchronicities, unexpected opportunities, and a sense of flow that naturally leads you toward your new future.
Energy centers within the body, often referred to as chakras in ancient traditions, play a fundamental role in the process of healing and personal transformation. These centers are responsible for distributing life force energy throughout the body, and each one corresponds to specific organs, glands, and emotional states. When these energy centers are balanced and coherent, the body functions optimally, both physically and emotionally. However, when energy becomes blocked or imbalanced due to stress, trauma, or negative emotions, it can lead to physical illnesses and emotional disturbances. In this context, focusing attention and intention on these centers becomes a powerful practice for self-healing and transformation. By directing awareness to these centers during meditation, individuals can begin to release stored emotional energy and create coherence within the body. When a person begins to activate these energy centers through focused attention and elevated emotions, they are essentially restoring balance to the body's energy system. Each energy center has its own frequency and carries specific emotional qualities. For example, the lower centers are associated with survival emotions, such as fear, anger, and insecurity, while the higher centers correspond to elevated states, such as love, joy, intuition, and bliss. As individuals intentionally shift their focus from the lower centers to the higher ones, they begin to move out of survival mode and into states of creation and healing. This shift not only changes their emotional state, but also influences the body's chemistry and the nervous system. Many people report profound healing experiences when they learn to regulate and activate these centers through meditation and breath work. As they release the dense energy of unresolved emotions, they often feel lighter, more energized, and more connected to themselves. Scientific studies show that this process can lead to measurable changes in brainwave patterns, heart coherence, and hormonal balance. This demonstrates the link between consciousness, energy, and physical health. When these centers are aligned and coherent, the body becomes more receptive to healing, and the individual naturally enters a state of wholeness. The practice of consciously activating and balancing energy centers also opens the door to higher states of awareness. Individuals begin to experience deeper intuitive insights, feelings of unity, and a sense of being connected to something greater than themselves. This inner alignment becomes the foundation for lasting transformation, not only at the physical level, but also at the emotional and spiritual levels, ultimately allowing people to experience greater levels of well-being, clarity, and personal power.
Epigenetics is the science that shows your genes are not fixed and unchangeable. Instead, they are influenced by your internal environment, particularly your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Many people have been conditioned to believe that they are victims of their genetic inheritance, assuming that if there is a history of illness or disease in their family, they are destined to experience the same fate. However, epigenetic research has revealed that only a small percentage of diseases are caused by genetic defects, while the vast majority are influenced by lifestyle, emotional patterns, and environmental factors.
This understanding means that you are not at the mercy of your genes. The way you think, the emotions you consistently feel, and the choices you make on a daily basis have the power to activate or deactivate certain genes, leading either toward health or toward imbalance. When you live in a constant state of stress, fear, worry, or frustration, you repeatedly trigger the body's survival mechanisms. In this state, your body produces stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, which are designed for short-term responses to danger but become harmful when sustained over long periods. These chemicals can disrupt the body's normal functioning and switch on genes related to inflammation, aging, and disease. Over time, the body becomes chemically addicted to these stress states, and this chronic emotional pattern reinforces unhealthy gene expression. However, by shifting into elevated emotional states, such as gratitude, love, joy, and compassion, you begin to signal the body to produce beneficial chemicals that promote growth, repair, and regeneration. Meditation, visualization, and intentional emotional practices can lead to profound shifts in gene expression. When you consciously cultivate elevated emotions while focusing on healing intentions, you not only change your emotional state, but also influence your biology at the genetic level. Studies have shown that consistent meditation practice can activate genes associated with immune function, longevity, and neural growth, while reducing the activity of genes linked to stress and inflammation. This process demonstrates the body's innate ability to heal and regenerate itself when given the right internal conditions. The key is to take responsibility for your inner world and recognize that the power to heal resides within you. By breaking free from habitual emotional patterns and learning to sustain elevated emotional states, you begin to rewrite your genetic destiny, allowing your body to move toward greater health, balance, and vitality through conscious choice and focused inner work.
The quantum field is a vast, invisible realm of energy that contains infinite possibilities for creation and manifestation. It exists beyond the physical world and is not limited by time or space. Everything in the universe, including thoughts, emotions, and matter itself, is made up of energy and information. The quantum field responds not to what we want, but to who we are being in each present moment. This means that your personal energy, which is a combination of your thoughts, feelings, and intentions, determines the experiences you attract into your life. Most people try to change their external world through effort, struggle, and force, but true creation happens from aligning with the quantum field through inner change. In the quantum field, every potential already exists. There are endless versions of you in this field, healthy, abundant, joyful, loving, successful versions, waiting to be activated by your consciousness. When you enter a state of deep meditation, where your body, environment, and concept of time disappear, you can access this field of infinite possibilities. In this timeless space, you are no longer limited by your identity or the physical world, and you can begin to connect with the future reality you wish to experience. The key to accessing the quantum field lies in combining a clear, focused intention with elevated emotions. Your intention acts as a directive, signaling the specific outcome you want to create, while elevated emotions, such as gratitude, love, and joy, carry a high frequency that allows you to connect with that potential in the field. The more coherent and focused your energy is, the stronger your signal becomes in the quantum field. This coherent energy begins to attract experiences, opportunities, and synchronicities that match the frequency you are broadcasting. Most people unknowingly broadcast the same energy every day by thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and behaving in the same ways. As a result, they continuously recreate the same reality. However, by consciously shifting your energy and sustaining elevated emotions, you can begin to draw new experiences into your life that reflect your inner changes. In the quantum field, you are not limited by your past or your present circumstances. You are empowered to collapse infinite potentials into your personal reality by aligning your thoughts, emotions, and energy with the future you desire to create. making manifestation a natural result of your internal transformation.
The process of mental rehearsal is one of the most powerful tools for creating change in the brain and body. Mental rehearsal involves repeatedly imagining yourself performing an action, experiencing a situation, or embodying a certain state of being until it becomes familiar to your mind and body. The brain does not distinguish between an actual physical experience and one that is vividly imagined with strong emotional engagement. When you mentally rehearse an event, the same neural circuits that are activated during the real-life experience begin to fire in the brain. This repetition strengthens the connections between neurons, effectively rewiring the brain to reflect the new experience as if it has already happened. Mental rehearsal is not simply about daydreaming or fantasizing. It is a deliberate and focused practice where you imagine every detail of your desired experience, involving all of your senses and emotions. The more vividly you rehearse, the more real it becomes to your brain and body. In this process, you begin to condition your body to believe that the future event has already occurred. As you combine clear intention with elevated emotions during mental rehearsal, you create a powerful biological shift. Your body starts to respond to the rehearsal as though the experience is actually taking place, producing the same chemicals and activating the same brain regions involved in the real event. Many studies have shown that athletes who use mental rehearsal consistently improve their performance, even when they are not physically practicing. This demonstrates that mental rehearsal can create measurable changes in physical abilities and performance outcomes. Beyond athletics, this technique is equally effective in healing, personal development, and manifesting new opportunities. By mentally rehearsing a new personality or a new way of being, you begin to reprogram your subconscious mind, which governs most of your automatic thoughts, behaviors, and emotional reactions. The more you practice mental rehearsal, the more you condition yourself to think, feel, and act in alignment with your desired future. Over time, the brain becomes wired to reflect the new identity you are creating, and the body memorizes the emotional state associated with it. Eventually, you begin to act and respond in ways that naturally match the rehearsed experience, leading to real-world changes. Mental rehearsal allows you to create a future memory that can guide your decisions, behaviors, and perceptions, helping you to close the gap between where you are now and the reality you wish to experience.
Gratitude is one of the most powerful and transformative emotional states a person can cultivate for personal change and healing. It is an elevated emotion that has the ability to shift a person's internal chemistry and signal the body to move from survival into creation. When someone feels gratitude, they are acknowledging that what they desire has already been received, even if it has not yet appeared in their physical reality. This emotional state signals to the brain and body that the event they seek has already happened, creating coherence between the heart and the brain. In this state of coherence, the body moves into homeostasis, promoting healing, regeneration, and balance throughout the entire system. Gratitude has been shown to positively affect the nervous system, the immune system, and even the genetic expression within the cells. When a person consistently feels gratitude, their brain begins to rewire itself to look for opportunities, possibilities, and positive experiences in the external environment. The practice of gratitude begins with intentionally shifting focus away from problems, limitations, and lack toward what is already present and abundant, whether it is health, relationships, opportunities, or personal growth. As this focus intensifies, the body begins to produce chemicals that enhance well-being, such as dopamine and oxytocin, creating a feedback loop that reinforces positive emotional states. Many people are conditioned to only feel gratitude after something good has happened in their lives. However, the most profound shifts occur when a person learns to feel gratitude in advance of receiving what they desire.
This requires trust and belief in the unseen possibilities of the quantum field. By feeling gratitude for a future outcome as if it has already occurred, a person aligns themselves with the energy of that future, making them more likely to attract it into their reality. This process also helps to override the body's habitual stress responses, moving energy away from lower emotional centers associated with survival and toward higher centers related to growth and expansion. Gratitude also serves as a bridge between the conscious mind and the subconscious body. By repeatedly practicing gratitude, both through meditation and throughout the day, the emotional state becomes familiar and natural. Eventually, gratitude becomes a baseline emotional signature, transforming the person's overall energy and magnetizing experiences that match this new state of being. In this way, gratitude becomes not just an emotional reaction, but a deliberate practice of creating the life that one deeply desires through intentional inner work and emotional mastery.